So this is where we are going to start then. GMP, we hope to debunk GMP and the fact that it's really very complicated. It's only for people in the pharma industry. Let us remind ourselves how big this industry is, at least the cannabis market. And as you can see from this slide, it's $1 billion industry just in Africa alone. What you don't see though is the industry itself. So what these numbers are showing us is probably just primary agriculture. And this is what's tragic about this picture. The fact that when you see Africa, you really just see farmers and people growing cannabis. And today there's a march actually in Pretoria, or there was a march about farming cannabis. And I'm hoping that if you follow this whole series, and by the way, it's also now on YouTube, you'll realize that what we've really been trying to do is to push people to start thinking about better products, a value chain approach. And that's because when you look at this here, cultivation is really a very crowded space. And I always like to show this. Extraction goes hand in hand with cultivation, also fairly crowded. When you start to look at manufacturing and you start going further along that value chain, you'll begin to see that, okay, it's capital intensive, but also your margins start becoming bigger. And so today we are going to look at this aspect of the chain, which is manufacturing. And you cannot talk about manufacturing without talking about GMP and all of these confusing terms. CGMP, now we even have so-called EU GMP, guidelines, policies, SOPs, inspections, traceability. Yeah, so it can really make your head spin. And I'm hoping that the speakers that we've brought onto this panel today will be able to demystify, simplify, and really educate in a lot of ways that will make sense. But let's think a little bit about the industry that we want to build. What should we be doing, right? I think we should be listening and co-creating solutions, especially because this industry is of people who have been for a long time marginalized. This industry is actually farmer-driven, rather than pharmaceutical industry driven. So it's really growers and crop science comes into this. So we need to be looking at those and listening to them, landowners, farmers of whatever size. The other thing we need to do is training, which Farmer Connect Africa, a non-profit company actually, has been trying to do and will continue to do. And the other issue is giving clear guidances. So I'll give an example of South Africa. So when people ask about GMP for herbals and for cannabis, really, we tend to throw at them the PICS guidelines, and they have to find their way through those guidelines, even though actually there's just one annexure, if you like, which is relevant. Now, what the Nigerian FDA has done, to their credit, is they have taken away all that noise and actually packed and packaged that information into a specific guideline for production inspection of herbal medicines and nutraceuticals. And when you read that, it's quite a sober document, and it tells people what exactly they ought to be doing. The other thing is in peer learning, which this platform provides. But at the end of it, we all have a duty to enhance PUSET, which is public understanding of science and engineering. And are we doing that? Are we demystifying all these terms for businesses so that businesses can actually get on to do what they're doing? Or sometimes we almost let them just swim in all these terms, and then consultants come along and they charge a lot of money to just do paperwork. So this afternoon, then, this session is supported by these various agencies: Stargate, thank you, Buffalo Extraction, Cybernet, and ourselves. So just to look forward to some of the events backwards and forwards. So last time we talked about money, and that webinar has now been loaded onto the YouTube channel. Today we're talking about GMP for cannabis and herbals. Then in 2 weeks' time, we're actually going to be talking to some Irish biotech pharma people who are interested in partnering with African companies. And then we'll come back to the global tea marketplace on the 19th. So again, if you want to attend any of these events, if you want to sponsor events, just get in touch with us. So to the business of the day. So today we have 4 speakers. The last speaker actually was flying to the US last night, so they graciously recorded their presentation, and I'll be able to play it to you. But we have 4 speakers. The first speaker, Admire Nyika, is with the inspectorate in Zimbabwe, and also does a lot of work in the SADC region. And so I said to Admire, you know, I want you to break down GMP. And I happen to teach GMP as well to pharmacy students. And it's not the most easy of concepts, but it can be broken down. So Admire I know he's going to do a great job of that. And then we have Jeff. You know, Jeff has been wanting to come onto this platform. And by the way, it's free. You can put your hand up and come and present. He's got a very interesting take on how do you actually get off-takers, because off-takers are looking for quality product. Denzel will come in briefly and talk about herbal teas, because you can't really just talk about cannabis. Cannabis is part of a bigger industry which we need to unlock in Africa. And then equipment is important, but that equipment has to be qualified. That equipment has to be calibrated. That equipment has to be purchased and suit the purpose for which it's purchased for. So Srivatsa will give us a little bit of an idea of what equipment you look for and what it should look like and perform.